At first sight, it looks like one endless mirage, where the horizon touches the land in any direction the eye goes. The little RANN of Kutch is one of the most remarkable and unique landscapes of its kind in the entire world. It is a vast, desiccated, unbroken bare surface of dark silt, encrusted with salts, which transforms into a spectacular coastal wetland after the rains. The little RANN of Kutch is one of the few places in the world where one can see the Asiatic wild ass. This magnificent relative of the horse centuries ago had a massive habitat which stretched between the little RANN of Kutch to the plains of Afghanistan. But now the RANN is the only place where they are found. The RANN is also one of the few places in India where salt has been produced using traditional methods for the last 600 years. The communities involved in salt production were mainly Chuvalia Kole, Ahir, Sandhi and Miyana. These communities are traditionally known to have the skills of salt production and are known as Agariyas. The salt workers work 8 to 10 hours a day in a land of near nothingness, where the birds don't fly and grass doesn't grow, where the water doesn't flow, and where temperatures shoot up to 45 degrees centigrade.
પાટામાં ખાધું ના ખાધું ને એવું કામ મહેનત કારી મજૂરી કરી બરાબર તો છતાં પહેરવા લુગડું રહેતું નથી.
For over 48,000 salt workers, residing in 107 villages in the periphery of the little RANN of Kutch, each day is a new struggle. They don't have access to schools, basic healthcare, sanitation, and many other things every citizen in India has a right to.
આ રણની અંદર પહેલાં મોગલશાહી વખતથી મીઠું પકાવતા આવવામાં આવે છે. ક્યારેક રજવાડા હતા ત્યારે પણ અહીંયા મીઠું પકાવતા હતા.
The salt workers have been living this kind of life in seclusion and poverty for centuries. The community was almost forgotten till a few years back, when the winds of change blew, and this time they blew hard, so hard that it threatens to wipe out the very existence of the 48,000 odd salt worker families.
રણની અંદર પહેલી વાર જવાનું થયું અને તે વખતે ત્યાં જે સ્થિતિ હતી તેમાં એક માણસ પોતે એક સામાન્ય જીવન જીવવા માટે પણ વલખા મારતો જોવા મળતો હતો. એની પ્રાથમિક જીવનની સ્થિતિ પણ ત્યાં નહોતી.
Under the Wild Animal and Bird Protection Act, the government issued a notification proposing to turn over an area of 4,840 square kilometers of the little RANN of Kutch and revenue, forest and wasteland in its periphery as wild ass sanctuary.
1995 में जो रिमोट सेंसिंग स्टडी हुए उनके आधार पर भी 133 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर एरिया है जो सॉल्ट पैन के अंडर है, वो भी आता है 2.68%। मतलब बहुत ही छोटा विस्तार है जिसमें नमक बनता है। पूरी सेंचुरी ऑलमोस्ट खाली है। गुड़खर को जिस जगह पर जाना हो वो जा सकता है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
During 1976, the condition of the wild ass was in dire straits. They were almost on the verge of extinction, and only 700 of them survived on the little run of Kutch. Thus, there was great concern for their conservation and protection. And with this, salt making was looked on as a harmful activity for the wild ass habitat in the little run of Kutch.
गुड़खर पूरे विश्व में एक सिर्फ रण में ही अभी पाया जाने वाला प्राणी है, कहीं और जगह नहीं मिलता है। तो बहुत ही हाईली इंडेंजर्ड स्पीसीज़ है और इसका ग्लोबली उसका एक बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंस है।
In order to prevent desertification, the government promoted plantation of Prosopis julifera, locally known as Gando Bubble. This turned out to be an ecological disaster. The local grass named Luni and many other species of plants almost vanished from the run. Due to further scarcity of fodder and water, the wild ass started attacking crops on the periphery of the run. Even then, wild ass remained close companions of the salt workers.
હવે આગળની સમજો કે વનસ્પતિ બાવર થતા નાશ થઈ ગઈ, એમાં પહેલાં તો થેગલા થાય, પછી આપણે બોકનો કહેવાય, બોકનો સાંઢિયા ભારે ખાય, ગધેડા ભારે ખાય, તેનાથી હાલતા ચૂણો ચકલી, ત્રણ વસ્તુ તો મેન થતી હતી. અને આ લાણો કયો ત્યારે થોડોક લાણો જ વધ્યો, બીજું કાંઈ છે નહીં. બાવરિયા થતાં બધું નાશ થઈ ગયું.
The salt workers treated the wild ass as one of their own. And this peaceful coexistence of salt workers led to their conservation and protection. By 2005, the number of wild asses was now over 3,800.
जिन जगहों पर सबसे ज़्यादा नमक बनता है लिटिल रन ऑफ कच्छ में, उन्हीं जगहों पर गुड़खर की संख्या भी सबसे ज़्यादा है। दक्षिण और पूर्वी जो फ्रिंजिस या उसके जो पेरिफेरल जो पार्ट्स हैं उन्हीं में कंसंट्रेशन है।
After 24 years, on the 25th of September 1997, the government issued notification parties initiating a process of settlement of rights in the proposed sanctuary area, according to which the Agaryas had to put claims for their rights inside the little run of Kutch, along with documentary evidence, within 60 days of the notification.
જે લોકોને પરંપરાગત અધિકાર છે તેમના અધિકાર કલેક્ટરશ્રી દ્વારા માની રાખવામાં આવશે અને જે લોકોના અધિકાર છે તે લોકો મીઠો પકવી શકશે. એને માટે જે કંઈ પ્રક્રિયા કરવી પડશે તે પ્રક્રિયા કરવામાં આવશે.
The notification is claimed to have given the traditional dwellers in the region 60 days time to file applications with documentary evidence to establish their traditional rights to be considered by the state government for alternatives when they were cleared out of the protected sanctuary.
આ વિસ્તારને ગુડખર અભયારણ્ય તરીકે જાહેર કરવાની જે કાનૂની કાર્યવાહી ચાલી એ કાર્યવાહીથી ડિસેમ્બર 2006 સુધી અગરિયાઓ તદ્દન અજાણ હતા. એટલે એમના પોતાના હક્કો જે રીતે એમણે આ કાર્યવાહીમાં મૂકવા જોઈએ, એની રજૂઆત કરવી જોઈએ, એ કરી શક્યા નથી.
Till the 12th of December 2006, the government said that the office has received only 1,776 individual claims and 77 representations. As per annual report of the Department of Industries, over 48,000 salt workers are engaged in salt production in the little run of Kutch. Meanwhile, a few NGOs and organizations came forward to help the salt workers. They got together to form a forum called the Agaria Heat Rakshak Manch.
Unless these Agarias and these salt workers have their own rights, and unless they are able to have their own voice for their rights with the government, they will never be able to come forward in their life.
When AHRM found out about the process for verification of rights in the sanctuary area, it gave detailed information about this process in its weekly radio programs, Gangro Lage Valo. Left without any source of entertainment, this is the only program the Agarias regularly tune into. And like wildfire, this program spread the news of the whole process of notification and the claiming of land rights.
એટલે અગરિયાઓ સાથે ખૂબ મોટું છળ થયું છે એવું આપણે કહી શકીએ અને એટલે આખી કાર્યવાહીને નવેસરથી શરૂ કરવી જોઈએ. અગરિયાઓને સાંભળવાની તક આપવી જોઈએ. એમના પારંપરિક અધિકારોને દસ્તાવેજી પુરાવાના આધારે નહીં પણ એનો ખરાઈ જુદી રીતે કરવી જોઈએ. ગ્રામસભા બોલાવી ગ્રામસભામાં પૂછવું જોઈએ અને જો ત્યાં એના અધિકારોની ખરાઈ થાય છે તેમના અધિકારોને માન્ય રાખવા જોઈએ.
નદીમાં રાવણા કર્યા જવાનીએ નદીમાં રાવણા કર્યા રે લોલ નદીમાં રાવણા કર્યા જવાનીએ.
The salt workers finally came to know the do's and don'ts.
મોટરું છૂટી જવાનિયા દહાડથી મોટરું છૂટી રે લોલ દહાડથી મોટરું.
Once aware of the claim entitlement procedures, the salt workers gathered in large numbers in Sammelan at Dhangadra. On the 7th of December 2006, they applied to the additional collector with their claims of having rights of salt production in the RANN.
અમે કલેક્ટર સાહેબને કીધું કે એક હાથમાં ઘાસ છે અને એક હાથમાં રોટલો છે, બરાબર? જો આ રોટલો રહ્યો એ ખસરને ખવડાવી દઈશો તો કીધું ઘાસ અમારાથી ખવાશે નહીં. ખસરને ધૂળખંડને એનું ઘાસ આપો અને અમને અમારો રોટલો આપો.
Now in 2007, the government wants to wind up the process of verification of rights and finally declared the entire little RANN of Kutch as wild as sanctuary. There is a sudden urgency to evict the salt workers from the RANN. However, nobody has any idea or clue as to how the salt workers will live once they are uprooted from the land where they have been living for generations. Till date, there has been no talk of rehabilitation of the salt workers.
लोगों से ही जो वहाँ बस रहे हैं, जो सदियों से बस रहे हैं, उन्हीं के साथ मिलकर इस समस्या का समाधान ढूंढा जा सकता है. घुड़खर को भय है, ये भय इन लोगों से तो पैदा नहीं हुआ है, क्योंकि अगर इनसे भय पैदा हुआ होता तो ये घुड़खर का अस्तित्व सैकड़ों साल पहले ही खत्म हो गया होता जब नमक बनने की शुरुआत हुई थी. ऐसा तो हुआ नहीं है. तो इसीलिए इतिहास गवाह है कि इन लोगों और घुड़खर के बीच में कोई संघर्ष, आपसी कोई संघर्ष नहीं है और अस्तित्व के लिए दोनों जो हैं वो प्रतिस्पर्धी नहीं है.
The salt workers' futures look uncertain. The state authorities do not have any answers. Since you have not filed an application in 1997, you have to leave the RANN or go to jail, is all they can say.
इसमें बहुत गंभीरतापूर्वक विचार करने की ज़रूरत है. इसमें नागरिकों की बड़े पैमाने पर सम्मति की ज़रूरत है और ख़ास करके उन लोगों के सम्मति की ज़रूरत है जो स्थानिक तौर पर वहाँ रहते हैं.
Now, it's a question of survival of the Agarias and the majestic wild ass, both an integral part of the little RANN of Kutch. Both have suffered. Both have cherished. Both have soaked in the rains. Both have felt the heat. Both have endured the RANN together for centuries. Their survival depends a lot on each other. At one point, there were only 700 wild asses. Today, there are over 3,800. Needless to say, that if the Agarias are thrown out of the RANN, the wild ass might just end up being one of the species we read about in history books.